Hello, Tofield Alliance Church family. By now, you've probably received messages from all sorts of organizations letting you know how they're dealing with COVID-19. So I wanted to personally reach out to you and just let you know a little bit about our church family and its operations during this time. This is the first of what will likely be a number of updates in this time when we're not able to gather together on Sunday mornings. I will also be addressing the spiritual dynamics of this through a weekly sermon, and that will be posted as well. We are following the restrictions from the Alberta government, from the Alberta health authorities, and applying those to the best of our abilities to the operation of our church. Now, there's lots of good information out there on the websites of the Alberta government and Alberta Health Services, and I encourage you to access that information and do all you can to keep yourself and others safe and healthy. So through this time, I will also be connecting with families by phone just to check in and see how you are managing. Phone may be one of the most effective tools to check in with each other and to encourage one another during this time when we can't actually gather as a group. So I look forward to talking with each one of you. A few key questions of things that we want to be able to let you know about. One is the church services themselves. You've heard that the Chief Medical Officer has mandated that all gatherings of over 50 people be discontinued due to the risk of community transmission. And so we're no longer able to meet at our regular Sunday services or Sunday school. Our strategy is going to be to stay connected as well as we can during this time. I'll provide a weekly update about what's happening in the church, and as well, I'll be providing a weekly sermon, and those will be in written and video format that you can be able to access. What about our church building? You know that many public buildings are being closed. What we're going to do is we're going to open the church building at key times so people can drop things off like food bank donations or their offerings. It'll be open for those specific windows of time and perhaps for some very restricted small group use. We're also going to implement a log for building use during this time. So can small groups meet? Groups of under 50 people are allowed, but only with certain restrictions. For this reason, we ask that there be no gatherings held at our church, which include seniors, people with respiratory conditions, or any who have recently traveled outside of Canada. As well as we ask that any gatherings, whether that be at our facility or whether that be in people's homes, that people familiarize themselves with the sanitation practices, with the social distancing protocols, and with the current advice from the Alberta Health Authority. I want to talk to you about our food bank drive. March is our food bank month, but it's been really tough going, and we haven't collected much food yet. And that's even harder now that we're not meeting on Sundays. So what we are going to do during this time when our Sunday gatherings are suspended is we're going to open the building for specific times during the week. And during those times, you can drop off your food bank donations or your offerings. That will be this coming week in March 23rd, 24th, and 26th and 27th. That's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. We hope those times work. If not, we'll look at your feedback and adjust to what might be better times in other weeks. So drop those off. As well, offerings. Offerings is something else that's impacted, but we will have the building open and you can drop your offering, either you can drop off a check or the Interact machine will be available during those times, and you can take your offerings and there'll be a place for you to be able to drop those off during the week. You can mail checks as well. If you do so, be sure and indicate what you want that designated to. Anything undesignated will go to the general fund. We will be setting up an option for e-transfers if you want to be able to give that way, and we'll be letting you know about that via email. So in the coming week, the church office will be open from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So during this time, we want to operate with caution, but yet at the same time with confidence. There is new information coming out every day, and we're reviewing best practice to fully comply with Alberta Health Authority. If we need to change exactly what we're doing, we will do that. In the meantime, we ask for your patience. We ask for your prayers as we work through the day-to-day implications of dealing with this and of continuing to be a church, even when we can't meet in the way or in the ways that we are used to. Over the next days, weeks, even months, we're going to hear how deeply COVID-19 is affecting not only our nation, our community, but our church family. It's already hitting home as children are home from school, as some people are self-isolating, and some are already suddenly out of work. So during this time, be praying for one another. It is an unsettling time. We don't know the future, but God does. And we find assurance in the truth that God knows that all that's taking place and all that will take place. And in this, he's not surprised. He's not anxious. He has guided earlier generations through all sorts of things that have been equally challenging. And he'll sustain us through this as well. I'll be bringing a sermon each Sunday, and that'll be available to you. But I want to close with these words, where it says in Psalm 55, verse 22, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." So may God sustain you. May his blessing be upon you. I look forward to seeing you in this way through a message and through an update likely next week. Take care. God bless.